So hi on the Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Matt from Rain City Drive.
There are some questions to say about the upcoming album. Things are different now, so congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
I think it's been cool. You know, I always like a rollout where we do a lot of singles, so it's cool to just build hype, and it's been good so far. I'm excited for people to hear all of it.
Hell yeah, the responses seemed very good so far, and I saw you guys put up some low ticket and very low ticket warnings on your headliner yesterday.
Yeah, it's coming, man. It'd be exciting to see how that goes. But you know, we've been doing a lot of support tours, which have been great. But it'll be cool to do some where, you know, it's just like all the real fans, you know. So we'll see.
It's your house for the night.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. The record rocks, though. We got to hear it in advance.
Yes.
It's so good.
It is incredible.
Yeah, I always love doing these interviews just for that fact of you guys are kind of like the first people outside of, like, you know, close family and friends that have heard it. So it's always nice to hear that little sneak peek in terms of preview, you know, of what people like, you know. So.
Hell yeah. Well, it would be awkward if we were like, well, we actually hated it.
Yeah, it was just okay.
Yeah, we're like, we heard it and it's not too late to just pull the plug on the whole thing. Like,
that would make things really awkward, but genuinely it was good. So that's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, y'all.
So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah, the title is just, we wanted to do kind of like a To Better Days type of thing that felt like it's like a phrase that somebody could just say casually, and that could have different meanings depending on how you looked at it. I think it's supposed to be you know, representative of the growth of the band and kind of like the growth mindset that we're in, and you know, kind of feeling good about where we are, and you know, where we've come from versus there's a lot of themes of like change and maybe like relationship wise, or like loss and like mourning and whatever. And so I feel like it's just, you can kind of apply it to a broad scope of things, and I think that's what we liked about it. But it's like, yeah. And then the album cover, I don't know, I had the idea of doing something with a pyramid. I just felt like it was sort of from a design standpoint, like a very basic next iteration of the triangle logo. I'm like, let's go 3D with the logo. And then it just seemed cool to do like a frozen or like a glass type of pyramid instead of like a traditional one. So it's sort of like or I don't know, it almost looks like a little custom RCD ice cube or something. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's just kind of fun. And man, it's always so tough. Like, I think there are times where you have something that comes really naturally in terms of you know, what I would almost call the like obligatory side of the project, which is like whether it's like naming stuff or coming up with album art or video concepts. And so yeah, sometimes those things are like, oh, this is what we'll do for the video. It'll be perfect. It'll be great. But a lot of times it's like, what are we going to do? And so I'm always just trying to come up with something that first and foremost doesn't, you know, ruin the stuff that we actually focused on and are kind of specialists in. And but this was a case where, you know, I do feel like the art is simple and aesthetic and nice, and I think through a lot of trial and error we kind of realized that we gravitate towards things that are a little more simplistic and just visually strong. Like, I think I just wanted a record, you know how people are kind of like hanging up vinyls nowadays and stuff, and I just like just wanted something that would just look good on the wall and not look like a Where's Waldo type of like scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, since you mentioned, like, you know, some things, I guess, like in the marketing aspect of things in a way, come very naturally, and then other things, it's like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Did you guys have any moments like that throughout the record, in the marketing with the music videos, cover art, album title, things like that were especially hard to kind of figure out that next step?
Yeah. So I mean, I think the album name, when it came time, we just started kind of brainstorming stuff, and that actually came pretty easily and naturally and was cool. and that was good. The art, there were a lot of different discussions and a lot of different potential directions and mock-ups and everything, and it didn't come as easily. And we didn't do too many videos for this one. We did the Frozen live video, which was great
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it's like, hey, why don't you band guys do your band thing, we'll
Yeah.
film it. But yeah, I would say we're doing one more video for the last single. I haven't seen it. I've only been a part of the filming. I haven't seen anything from it yet, so I don't know how that one's gonna turn out, but hopefully it's cool.
All right.
But
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope so. Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Yeah, this was the first record that we had an extended writing period before we went into the studio, which was really nice. Our first album we did together, To Better Days, we had 40 days to 40 days and 40 nights to write and record the whole thing.
Mm.
And so it was like, it was pretty stressful, at least like for me, being the like kind of lyric guy who's trying to come up with all the concepts and make sure everything is really strong. And I think the attitude of the time was just like, yeah, like you just go in the booth and we'll just figure it all out together. And I was like, no, 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 no.
Mm-mm.
I can't just be saying some random shit that I'm gonna have to live with forever. And I'm just like, why did I say that? What am I even talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really nice in contrast to that experience. And by the way, I'm really proud of how that experience turned out. It just meant like, every second of every day I was thinking of like kind of banging my head against the wall, like for the first two records,
Mhm.
trying to button everything up. Versus this experience was like, you'd book rights and we'd go in day of, and you still have that experience and that kind of rush of driving into a ride and not having any idea what you're going to talk about, maybe thinking
Mhm.
of something on the drive over, and then, hearing a track and just write out the whole thing, and then like, okay, it's done. And obviously others like will take longer, but you still have that kind of spontaneous thing, but not with a gun next to your head kind of vibes, or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so an example of that would be like song like Lose My Composure or Disarm the Hourglass were both songs I can remember like driving over to um, KJ's place and just like thinking about getting older or thinking about my buddy Steve that passed a couple of years ago. And then just when I heard the track, just all those ideas came out and it was cool and it felt cool versus like on the last record, song that I am happy with the way it turned out with, but Dreams was like the last one we did with Eric Ron. And I remember just like literally writing that top line in the vocal booth and being like,
Mhm.
all right, I gotta track it. And just, you just don't know really if you're gonna like it even the next day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do still like that one, but it's like you get a little lucky. So anyways, I hope that's going to be the pattern moving forward that we're
Mhm.
allocated a little more time. Again, it's fun to be spontaneous in the moment, but then have time to make revisions if you need to. I think is a good sweet spot. I will say I think we had a little too much time in between the writing period and when we could get in with Bronstein.
Mhm.
So there was some second guessing internally about
Yeah.
and it's hard. It's sometimes like not everybody's on the same page in terms of the vision of like when it's just rough pre-pro from writing versus like when we're hearing like final sounds in the studio. So I would say definitely an improvement from how we've done in the past, and the only way it could be better would be maybe scheduling like writing, like a month of writing or something, and then
Mhm.
maybe a month off, and then right into the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. How
Hmm.
long was your break kind of from writing to getting into the studio?
Man, I think it was like 6 months or something.
Oof.
It was like
Shit.
it was way too long.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that wasn't by design. It was just like that was when the people we were working with were free, and so we
Mhm.
just were like, we discussed like, do we want to like? Obviously, we didn't want to wait that long, but it's like it was worth it to get in with Dan, and so that's what we did. But yeah, I think in that time. It was also a really big, a long break for us in general. I think we had one little tour in there, but for the most part, like the band was pretty inactive, and
Hmm.
so yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough to get everybody like together and on the same page, and like to feel good about everything. So
Yeah. The break from writing and the break from touring all at the same time is a lethal combo.
Oof.
yeah, and then it's like, do we even have a record? I'm like, we got like 20 songs, but it's like, but again, it's like, I get it, you gotta, we have in scraps and whatever, but, and
Hmm.
my focus is always like, if we can get the top lines to be really watertight, like words, melody are strong,
Hmm.
like if it's like a little, even if it was like a vocal piano demo or whatever, like I feel confident, like we can go in with the right producer and like, the band is really strong and like we can make it something cool. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, hopefully everybody's listen, it's a process,
It is.
Exactly. Yeah,
Hell
you
yeah.
gotta trust it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
also, just curious to know the start and finish of the writing process. When did you guys kind of start thinking of the record, and then when did it finally wrap up?
Yeah, I posted that little video about that song Over Me. I mean, I know that, people make instrumental demos and stuff, but I know for me that was the first time that I kind of started thinking about it. And I don't remember what it was. I think it was like January of like 2023 or something.
Oh.
I think I actually don't really remember now, but it was yeah, that was like the oldest song for me.
Hmm.
Um and that one I didn't finish for like a year or something.
Oh.
I had the most of it, but like didn't have the verses or whatever. And sometimes
Hmm.
it takes the pressure of being like, all right, you got to track this one tomorrow to like really figure it out. And then there's other ones that I finished in like probably like 2 hours or something or an hour or whatever. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
Not too bad. Yeah.
I remember the verses to Elusive Dream. I've finished like the night before I tracked him, which was
Hmm.
really great because um, it's like the reference, the only reference you've ever had for the
Hmm.
part is the actual official recording, which is really nice. So you get to kind of capture that moment
Yeah.
versus I know, demoitis is a real thing.
Yes.
So sometimes even that word vomit like you're like, yeah, well, there was something like obviously that's not the take because there's not lyrics, but it's like something about
Exactly.
the delivery. Can I hear how I did it on the demo? Versus
Yeah.
like this other thing was just like it just felt so fresh, and I was just like it was that was like a real joy for me to do that. Again under pressure, but in a way where I felt like a real working songwriter, being like it's like midnight and we just got back from tracking drums or whatever. I'm like, all right, I gotta come up with something, and then tracking it the next morning. It was just felt good. So.
Hmm.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. So, what song off the album was the hardest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Hmm. Hardest to write. I mean, I guess I could say Over Me, just because it was had the kind of the longest runway.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely not a lot of the other ones. A lot
Oh,
of them
okay.
were pretty smooth. Yeah, yeah, I would say that one, and also that one like topically is a little different because I wrote it about like a past relationship. Again, it
Hmm.
was like the first song, and so I was just like, I don't know, it was like a genuine feeling, but I also kind of was over me at that point, and I'm like, do I want to
Yeah.
put this damn song out at this point,
Yeah.
Hmm.
but I mean I'm glad I did. I try to just be be honest with stuff, and it's ultimately when you put stuff out in the world, it's like people just adapt it to their own lives, which is great. So maybe
Hmm.
so maybe that one, and then what was the follow-up question?
Your personal favorite?
Personal favorite on the record in general? It's tough, man. I think in terms of like something kind of unique uh of an answer, probably something like Elusive Dream, I would say.
Hmm.
Um but I'm also the type where like I kind of like am a man of the people. I kind of like agree with like the singles being good and like what
Yeah.
everybody I too am like, yeah, this one's catchiest or whatever. So, like on that tip, like I do really like a song like Medicate Me. I mean, I'm really proud of a song like Me for us. I think like it's such a cool mixture of um elements, and I'm really glad that it's doing so well, because I know for the longest time I feel like the thing was like, we gotta write another Talk to a Friend, and I was always just like, we already got Talk to a Friend, you know,
We
like
need another one?
Yeah.
yeah. And so now I'm just looking forward to hopefully people being like, we gotta write another Medicate Me, and like
Yeah.
we don't, but it'll just be new and refreshing kind
Yeah.
of
Exactly.
feedback.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So how'd the track list for your album come about? Did you guys write the opener to be the opener, closer to be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
You guys always have the best questions.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So yeah, Sacrifice was always supposed to be the album opener, and that was kind of like Zach's brainchild in terms of vision and production. It was something that, like a piano part that Felipe started, but yeah, we just realized it would kind of be like a sleepy opener, like you know, the vision was just to do a song that kind of did this the whole time and just grew.
Mhm.
But as we kind of arranged the album, it just seemed more like a really cool bonus track, like at the end. So like in my mind, it's like, you know, we kind of kick things off with Lose My Composure in a fun way, and then the album is kind of finished with Elusive Dream, and then Sacrifice is sort of like a bonus track, and it kind of, it's like, oh, maybe we're getting two kind of like acoustic-y or like down
Mhm.
songs, and then Sacrifice just gets big and kind of fun. But it's kind of like a kind of like an oddball track, but I think it's fun.
Hell yeah.
Huh. Fuck yeah. All right. And would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating the record?
Kind of excited to be not under the gun and not having to do final vocals for everything that day. But then also a little burnout, like that the LA Right trip we did. You know, we got a lot of songs in a short amount of time, but it was like writing like complete songs every day for
Yeah.
X amount of days in a row. Like I did start to run out of ideas at the end, and I think that's what you always find is like you don't like you run out of ideas before you run out of enthusiasm.
Mhm.
And
That's
so
the
I was
worst.
like, yeah, I'm like I was really like at the end of the process, I think I was the only one that I was like, I never want to stop. I want to keep doing this forever and ever. But then
Yeah.
like even though I was like so burnt out, but I also just like kind of had nothing to say
Mhm.
at that
Yeah.
point. Like I kind of, you know, had my, you know, little fucking situationship saga and
Mhm.
lost songs and whatever. And I'm like, that's all I got. This is the era of me done in this record. So you know, which is I guess kind of nice in a way. You kind of like, yeah, I guess this is it for now. And then you have to go live a little more life, and then you have
Mhm.
more shit to talk about.
Mhm.
But yeah, um, was that the whole question? I don't even remember.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that
that was
answered it
good.
perfectly.
Yeah, and what do you usually do when you do run out of things to write about? As you said, do you just kind of say, "All right, guess we're done writing. Writing trip's over. I gotta go do some shit. I gotta go live life to write stuff about," or is it just kind of like digging up your past, I guess?
Yeah, I would say like you know, the way I write is like there are certain times where I like a Lose My Composure, Disarm. I went in with at least something on my mind that
Mhm.
I thought I could explore. But a lot of times I just start with melodic ideas that turn into um, kind of scat lyrical ideas, and it's like the way I always just describe it is like I'm assembling a jigsaw puzzle and I don't have a reference picture on the back of the box.
Mhm.
Huh.
So it's like I'm just like, oh, okay, I got a corner piece, and I got this piece, and I got this, and then as I'm building it, I start to realize what it is maybe I'm building, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. So I don't usually go into it lyrically with much of a idea. I'm just letting like the either just the melody that I'm working off of, or like if I'm working off of a track that the guys are building, I'm just like feeling whatever that vibe is. And then yeah, if I get enough pieces, I'm like, okay, I kind of know what I'm talking about, and then I can use my put on my little songwriter hat and just like build it out.
Yeah.
But I think the inspiration is the most rare and kind of valuable part of it. On this record in particular, though, I tried to not do too much of that or get too excited once I realized what it is I could be building. Because I think sometimes in the same way that if you go in being like, we need to write a hit song today, like it can be creatively stifling. Like you can just kind of like pour water on that little spark, you know? It's like if I get too excited about oh, maybe this song can be about my dad or be about whatever, and then every line you're writing, you're kind of like checking with yourself and like, but does this make sense? But does this fit? And I don't, a lot of times I don't want to write like a persuasive essay. I don't want to be in that headspace. I just want to like feel the imagery and know that it's resonating with me and it feels good, and just trusting that, like, you know, I don't even fully understand myself, and like allowing certain things to just be like the little ink blot thing and just kind of like come out, and then when it's done, stand back and be like, okay, this is interesting, or like this makes me think of this or this whatever. But if the song is songing, just to try to get out of my own way a little bit more than I have in the past. So that was like a fun part of this process, you know.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should I do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
I wonder if anybody has the patience to listen to it in the dark with headphones on. That seems like a pretty big ask.
I'm afraid of the dark, so I tried to do that once. I'm like, I'm good on that. I'm good on that.
I always forget that shit.
Dude, I never meet other adults that are scared of shit like that. Represent, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck that. I'm good.
Dude, I'm so easily scared. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe with friends, maybe like with friends on a drive would be great, and then go back and listen to it in headphones, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's fun, that social. You know what I'm finding too is funny. People, I'll send like a close friend the link to the album, and they've had it, you know. But then when the singles come out, they're like, oh man, I've been listening, and I'm like, you already had it. But there's something. It's obviously it's a little more convenient to just listen in Spotify or whatever than like, I gotta open up Dropbox, you gotta open this thing, gotta whatever. But I have a theory that even if there was like a private link in Spotify option, it doesn't feel the same. Even for me, when the song's out, day of, I'll listen to it on Spotify because it's like, yeah, well, now it's like official, and it feels more like a communal experience too. So just to kind of piggyback on the car friends, that idea. Yeah, I think there's something to that, you know.
Yeah, I agree, but at least for me personally, I have another person in the podcast that will have also heard the record. So if there was a private Spotify option, I would play the record so much I wouldn't want to listen to it by the time that it was out, because I could tell Gloria all my thoughts, because we have to keep it embargoed.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. I will say too. Definitely gonna have a little deluxe on this one as well that will include some songs that didn't quite make the album but are still cool, and I still want fans to do. So
fuck yeah.
Okay.
Love a little deluxe.
That's some exclusive intel for you guys.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Rocking with it. All right.
Hell yeah.
So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Okay. Frozen ice pyramid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you did describe it.
That's all right.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Excitement.
Okay. Is that you kind of answered it like a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can never be too sure, you know.
Yeah. It's what you want the fans to have, but you're hoping.
Yeah, I mean, I just think like I want people to be excited going into it, and then I hope that excitement doesn't turn into disappointment, and I hope they're excited to listen again. You know, or if they could be excited and then kind of stay about the same excited, that would be great. You know?
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. And are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of this album, positive or negative?
I will say that we had a really great experience getting in with Bronstein, and I'd love to work with him again. Him and Zach Tush were both awesome, and yeah, it was really cool. It was the first record we've done a little differently in terms of like it was me and Bronstein during tracking anyways, like working on vocals and like final production stuff, and then the other boys were in with Zach, just like nailing all the instrumental parts. And so we'd work on different songs at different times, and then like pop into a room and see like what they were doing, and they'd come in and hear like vocal tracking. And so we were on a really tight schedule, but it worked out great. And it meant that there was like a particular attention to detail that's normally afforded to the vocals that were also afforded to the instrumentals. Like they kind of had their own producer with that, which was really cool. So that was great. And then I just, yeah, again, just too long of a break to get in with Bronstein, too much internal questioning over like, did we even have an album? I always believed that we did, because we had we had like 20 plus songs going in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we already kind of solved that though, planning wise for the next time. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, that's good.
All right.
And for the last couple questions, going to shift completely away from music. So if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
And I can't re-up as human?
No.
Okay, shit. For the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a dog.
Dog.
Yeah.
Just still be it's kind of human adjacent, and they seem to have a pretty good life at it. I do sometimes worry that Huey can't tell me what's going on with him, and like maybe he just lives in like chronic pain and I have no idea. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
Like the same as like babies, but like when babies get to a certain age, then they can even be like, oh, and then you're like, oh, you have an earache, like
Yeah.
he's just never gonna get to. He's like shaking his head sometimes, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Are you just shaking
What's
your head
going
because you're
on?
shaking, or are you shaking
Yeah,
your head
he's
because
just-
something's
yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or are you telling me no?
Yeah, he's just very negative. He's in a very negative mindset.
He's a hater, bro.
Yeah.
And if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Man. I've never thought about this component of the question, that like I'm like I don't fuck with ghosts. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna rule out all the dead people just straight up, just for that, because I'm like, what how is that happening? You know what I mean?
You don't fuck with ghosts?
Nah, man.
No?
Shit.
I don't blame you.
Oh, that's fair. I mean,
Yeah,
I
this-
get it. Mm.
Me and this guy was, yeah, exactly.
It's twinning, yeah. Shit.
But okay, back to the question. Only live people, and
Okay.
I would say, man, I don't want to meet anybody, like straight up. I just don't want to. I don't want to bother anyone. I think if it came across, like it would have to be like so mutually beneficial or something. But so there's no ghost, everybody's alive, and somehow they also want to have lunch with me.
Yeah,
Dang.
they want to have lunch with you, and you get to pick.
Okay, all right. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Probably Bob Dylan.
Nice.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That's good.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah. And for this last question, boom, you're on a desert island. You can bring one movie, one album, and one person. Who and what are you bringing?
Movie would be Goodfellas, probably.
Banger.
The album would be Rubber Soul. And what was the last one?
Person.
Person? Bringing a person?
Mhm.
Probably my girlfriend, in case we need to make new people.
Repopulating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Hell yeah.
All right.
Starting your own island. You're not trying to get off. You're like,
Well,
we're stuck here.
if I'm never gonna see anybody again, I might need to have expand a little,
Yeah.
expand operations.
That's crazy. As I said, that's all the questions I have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Just this new album, man. I thanks for having me on, and thanks for asking the great questions. And what was that? What, you guys have a favorite track?
Oh fuck, what is it? The closure. Common closure.
Concrete Closure.
Concrete closure.
Concrete
That
closure.
one.
That's a good
That's the next single. So
Hell
great.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little more kind of pop, a little more poppy, fun. You know, I mean, it's never pop, but
Yeah.
I think people throw around pop a little too readily. But you know, we just try to write good songs. But
Oh, yeah.
That's fair. Mine was Frozen.
Frozen, okay, great, yeah.
Fuck with Frozen.
Frozen's gonna have a little remix on this album too that I think you'll like. Hopefully,
Oh
I
shit.
don't know. That's always like kind of polarizing. Again, with the demoitis thing, people are like,
hmm
"What happened to the Fro? Where can I find the good Frozen mix?" You know, but I think it'll fit better with the record and it'll be cool. Shout out to our own Zach Baker on drums and also mixed like 80% of this album or whatever, which is really cool. So the singles, well, I guess it was like the big three singles, oh, Never Bloom and what is it? Never Bloom and Medicate and Wish You the Best were all Zach Cervini mixes, which was really fun to work with
Oh,
him. And then
that's awesome.
Zach Baker's doing the rest of the album. So yeah, he's killing it. So
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Now it's been Matt from Rain City Drive, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.